breath together. So we're concluding with the fifth step today. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Perhaps the scariest point of authenticity that there is. To, as Howard Thurman shared, where is it? There. To feel completely vulnerable, completely naked, completely exposed, and absolutely secure. It occurs to me that perhaps the most delusional state of mind that we ever have most clearly defines hell. That state of mind where we have lied to ourselves so long, we actually believe our own lies over the truth. And I think that's what Howard Thurman is referring to in the beginning of that address, where he talks about if you experience the genuine you, if you hear the genuine call and then ignore it, it's probably better that you were never born. He's not saying your birth is worthless. He's saying you are going to be in so much pain, you are likely to wish you had never been born. That's what he's actually saying. To know the truth of who we are and make a decision to ignore it. I've been there. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Never going back. Most of you know that while we're doing these 12 steps and 12 traditions, we're not doing them to recover from something. There are 12-step programs for that. This is not to recover from something. This is to recover to something. This is to recover the authentic you that many of us haven't seen since that moment air hit us. Right? We got here knowing who our authentic self is. And then it is systemically programmed over. I used to say taken away from us and programmed out of us, but it's not, because it's always still there. It's programmed over. And that's the gift, because we don't have to create something new. We just have to remove all the garbage that's hiding it. Right? That's what this step invites us to do. To be honest. And I encourage you to let go of the idea of brutal honesty. See, that's a nice little phrase that we made up to keep us from having to be really honest. We made honest brutal. We made it violent. We made it something to not do. What if it is a courageous honesty? What if it is an honesty that is so committed to you that you refuse to buy in to any diminishment of it? What if you knew you so completely and were so committed to you that you were unwilling to give one iota of your power away to anybody else's opinion of you? Yeah. Right? Imagine that. Imagine that when someone shared their opinion of you with you, because they will. Right? I have a friend, Mary Karuba in California. I love Mary Karuba. I truly do. And she's really clear. If she wants your opinion, she'll give it to you. And she'll tell you that. If I wanted your opinion, I'd give it to you. Right? Just because somebody has an opinion doesn't mean it has to be our truth. Because I will go out on a limb and say there's nobody in here that is willing to stop having opinions because someone else doesn't like your opinion. But we want other people to stop. Double standard. Okay? I want my right to choose, and I want to tell you how to choose. Doesn't work that way. I want to know the truth of me. I want to tell you the truth of me. And oh, by the way, I'm going to tell you the truth of you too while I'm at it. Doesn't work that way. You don't know the truth of somebody else until they share it with you. What you know is the truth of your opinion about them. May or may not have a shred of accuracy. Notice I use accuracy because it is honest. It is your honest opinion of them. That doesn't mean it's accurate. It just means you've owned it as your opinion. How do we know whose energy we're feeling? I don't know that we do. And I don't know that it matters. See, in this whole idea of oneness, in this eternality of one thing, I don't even know if the thoughts I have are actually mine. Not really. I mean, think about this. Every thought is a thought in one infinite mind. One eternal mind. So every thought must be equally eternal. So every thought that has ever been thunk in the history of thinking is eternally alive and active. When that finally sunk in, the idea that I actually have an original thought made me laugh. How do I know? How do I know that some 3-year-old thousands of years ago didn't have that thought first? I don't know. I really don't. What it allowed me to do was to get real with myself about why I need to have an authentic thought. Why do I need to have a thought that is authentically mine while I'm teaching oneness? Because to need a thought that is separate from everybody else is duality. That's pandering to my human ego, my human sense of self. Why do I need that? Because I don't know the truth of my being. That's why. And as soon as I got that squared away, I don't need to have things that are separate from you. I don't. Right? Now, there are things in this human realm that we have set up that way. If I write a book, it's copywritten under my name, and I get the royalties. That's how we set it up. But that doesn't mean that every word in that book is original to me. It's not. There's no way for me to confirm that. Right? So if, my buddy Jeff Anderson used to say, if I read it 10 times, then it's mine. Now, I'm not exactly sure how that works, but you know, you have those things that you've read and studied so many times in so many different places that you forget where they came from and you just say them. I think that's okay. I try to give credit where credit's due, and if I forget, I'm not going to crucify myself over it. I'm not taking I'm not taking anybody's royalty check. Right? We feel tension all the time. Notice how tension is just energy, right? That's all it is. And I love that the question is, how do I know whose tension I'm feeling? Would we respond the same way if the question was, how do I know whose joy I'm feeling? Right? We tend to think of tension as a negative. The word intention, if you look up the root of that word, literally means to stretch. Intention. That's the root of the word. So imagine if when we felt tension, instead of trying to analyze where it's coming from, who it belongs to, we saw it as an indication of growth. We acknowledge that, oh, something in me is stretching. That's what this sense of tension is. Something in creation is stretching. And I'm a part of that, so of course I feel that. Constant growth. Sometimes it's my waistline. And sometimes it's the waistline. I don't know about you, I have two waistlines. One here, one in my head. Right? What if we simply, instead of whose tension is this, what is this about? What is stretching? What has my attention that I am to know about this energy? What if we did that? What if we did that? Too many of us in metaphysics keep removing ourselves from the tensions of humanity. That's duality. You get to practice duality if you want, but it will never be science of mind. It will always be duality. Right? There is nothing in creation, no moment anywhere in creation that I do not have a responsibility for, and that you don't have a responsibility for. We're all responsible. So if it comes into your awareness, it's yours. Even if you don't know exactly what it is, you can treat for clarity. And then listen. But be careful, because our tendency is to listen for what we want to hear instead of listening for what we're actually hearing. Right? It's like a radio dial, right? We pray for clarity, and then we start getting information, and we go, well, no, let me change that dial. That's not what I want. You prayed for clarity. Perhaps listening to it is an option. And perhaps the only thing that stops us is we qualify it as good or bad. What if it just is information? What if it's not good or bad? What if it's just clarity? What if nothing was good or bad anymore? What if the exact nature of our wrong is thinking that there's a right and a wrong? Now, I'm going to be very clear. I am not talking about human behavior. I am talking about truth. I'm talking about that internal dialogue. We do things to each other in this physical realm that are right and wrong. That's not what I'm talking about. Because there are people that like to take that little chunk and run with it. I can do whatever I want. No. Liberty does not mean license. Does not. Right? But our thoughts, our feelings, the whole reason I personally teach that the whole freaking human race is addicted is because we have good feelings and bad feelings, and instead of being willing to just feel, we keep trying to change the bad feelings and augment the good feelings, and that, beloveds, is addiction. I don't care how you do it, whether you do it with exercise, or you do it with food, or you do it listening to music, or you do it with drugs, or you do it with alcohol, or you do it with relationships, you know, those meaningful relationships of which you still have no idea what the meaning is. Because the only meaning of the relationship was to change how you felt. And trust me, it will. It may not make you feel better, but it will change how you feel. What if how you feel is a divine, sacred communication? What if that's the music of the genuine? What if? What if instead of trying to change any of it, you just opened up to listen, to experience it, to feel it, to let it wash over you until it washes through you? Because when it washes through you, it will transform everything that doesn't belong. But we have to let it in. I'm going to close with this. Several of you have recently started wearing my mala beads again, and several of you have inquired about what these are. Mala beads come from the Tibetan and Hindu traditions. It's 108 beads. This bead at the end is the mother bead, and the tassel is a reminder of the interconnectedness of all of creation. All of the tassels in one. It has 108 beads, and I use it when human life starts becoming overwhelming. It's a simple matter of you start with one bead, and whatever it is, I know it's in my thing. Instead of trying to figure out what's going on, what do I want to be? I'm feeling chaotic, I want peace. I am 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 peace. And I do that all the way around till I get to the end. And 108 times of I am peace, I guarantee you, you will be more peaceful. Right? Sometimes I do a much deeper meditation with these where I chant with each bead, there is only one life. That life is God. God is my life now. You can do it however you want. You can go 108 times that says, I will not slap my kid. I will not slap my kid. I will not slap my kid. Right? Well, there's no rule. Whatever works for you. Right? But that's why I do it. And I actually I made this and can teach you how to make these if you would like. Hit me up by email, and if enough folks want to do it, I'll have a class on how to make your own mala beads, because it's really not hard, and I have the stuff. Maybe I can stop dragging around all the inventory from when I used to have a shop. That would be good. I can find my basement again. So that's what those are. I invite you, quit worrying about whose energy it is and just feel it. And feel it as a holy communication about you. Because if it wasn't meant for you, you wouldn't be feeling it. That's how it works. Nobody, no matter what their energy is, Nobody can make you feel anything unless they are physically touching you. Nobody. If you're feeling it, it's because it's yours to feel. And sometimes, and I'll wrap up with this, sometimes the most sacred thing to feel is emotional pain. Sometimes it's the most sacred thing to feel. A year ago this time was the first time in 35 years that I felt the loss of my maternal mother, because I hadn't been connected with her. And then I got connected with her as she was making her physical transition out of human form. And what I will say about this thing of this courageous place where we lay ourselves bare and know that we're safe, if we do our forgiveness work, that place is real. But I don't think it's real if we haven't done our forgiveness work. Because if I go into something with the expectation that you're going to heal me, I'm already in trouble. I had done years, 35 years, of healing work around my mother. And when I entered the room, I didn't know what I was going to feel. Because it's easy to think you've done all your work when you're not in the situation. I can imagine it any way I want. But here I was, about to walk into the room with this human being who birthed me. And I felt nothing but love. In all of the vulnerability, there was a safety. There was a sense of surrender and security that I had not ever experienced. And somewhere in all of her profound dementia, she felt it too. Because literally, this is a human being who was just chanting nonsense, non-stop, for years. And all of a sudden, in the middle of that, she stopped. Tears came out of her eyes. She looked at me, called me by name, and said, "I'm so sorry. I made it so hard. It didn't have to be that way." And then went right back to chanting the nonsense. This stuff is real if we let it be real. Let's take this into prayer. With this breath, I recognize, I recognize, I know again, there is one. I know again the power of now. I know again that all life is this one life, expressing, individualized, on purpose, one of a kind, never to be repeated, divine desires of the infinite to know itself, to experience itself as each idea. So I claim and affirm that on this day of earthly celebration of mothers, that every expression of the infinite is pregnant with possibility. Every expression of the infinite ready to birth something new. I claim it, I see it, I know. And I know that the activity of law always responds yes, and so simply thinking it and speaking it, law responds and makes it so. And so I celebrate. I celebrate the newness that is being birthed even now. Consciousness expressing, healing happening. And So I let go, knowing it's done, knowing there's no thing for this human me to do other than see where life is unfolding itself. I let go. I let it be. And I invite you to join me as we say together, and so it is.